Hi everyone, it's Dawn. Welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be sharing with you my favorite powder foundation, and I'm going to share with you about 5 tips and tricks that I use to get a flawless application on my 54-year-old mature skin. And I've also been going a little extra with my actives lately. So I have a couple blemishes that are healing, and I also have some dry skin flakes that I'm working around. So it's a really good time to share it with you because my skin is a little bit problematic right now. And some of you asked me in my foundations in rotation video if I use any powder foundations, and I completely forgot to share my favorite powder foundation with you. So I'm going to share that with you and give you my tips and tricks on how to get that flawless application. And in that video, I also happen to be using a new palette from the Bare Minerals Mineralist collection, and it's based on the Warmth all over face color that is really popular from Bare Minerals. It came out in the 90s as an all over face color, and several other shades as well. I could never use Warmth. That was always too dark for me, so I had to use a different shade, but I'm going to show you how I use that kind of product. And I'm also going to show you an eyeshadow palette based on that whole Warmth collection, and it imparts a really sheer, beachy, summertime glow. So I hope that you enjoy this video, and let's just jump in and get started. So the only thing I have on my skin right now is my serum and sunblock, and I was just finishing up this one from La Roche-Posay. I will repurchase this, and this one does have vitamin C, antioxidants, and it's hydrating, and it has an SPF of 50, and I really like the sunblock a lot. I like all the La Roche-Posay sunblocks that I've tried so far, but this one's empty, and so I have to pick up a new one. And I really like it because it leaves my skin very moisturized, but it doesn't leave my skin feeling tacky or sticky or anything like that. It just feels like my skin, but moisturized. And that's the ticket. That's the first important tip, is make sure that your skin is as moisturized as you can get it, but not feeling sticky or tacky. And I have gone extra with my skincare lately since my son graduated high school a couple of weeks ago, and he has an open house coming up on the 17th for graduation. So I wanted to really encourage my skin to kind of peel a little bit because I wanted to reveal that really bright, nice skin beneath. So I used some Tretinoin on my skin for like 3 nights in a row, and then I took a break, and then I used the Ordinary like mini peel, the one that's red, the AHA BHA peel, and I like that a lot. It helps dissolve like the flakes sitting on top of your skin and reveals that brighter skin. But I had gone extra, so my skin has been a little bit peely and flaky, and that's okay. If your skin is peeling and flaking a little tiny bit still, you could still use a powder foundation. Sometimes I feel like a powder foundation looks best on skin that's, you know, kind of recovering from something. I have used it before. You want to kind of remove any flakes the best you can. Like, another thing that I'll do is take some of the Ordinary glycolic toner on a cotton ball and just place it like in the areas that are peeling, and it will again kind of encourage any dry flakes to kind of dissolve or flake off. So once I've got that done, I moisturize my skin and make sure I'm using some sunblock because my skin is more vulnerable to the sun after I've done like a mini peel like that. So now I'm going to go in with my Bare Minerals Original Foundation Powder. And an important thing to make sure is that you have the original and not the Mineral Val. The Mineral Val is a setting powder for like over foundation when you use a liquid foundation. It's a really pretty setting powder, but it's not the same as the foundation. So when it says original on it, you'll know you have the right one for the foundation. And I think it does come in like a couple different formulas now. I have the original, but I think there is one that's a little more matte and one that's like a little more radiant maybe. I know that they have a concealer in powder formula that's really brightening. I've tried it on so many times and I've been to Sephora. I'm so tempted to get it, but it's $22 and I don't need another concealer right now, but it does tempt me. Have any of you tried it? And if you have, can you let us know what it's like down in the comment section? I've only tried it sampling it at Sephora, so I'd really love your input on that. So I have mine in the shade 02 Fair Ivory. And this is the perfect color for me. And then the next thing that I would really recommend is purchasing the Beautiful Finish brush. And it looks like this. And it's the best brush I've ever used for powder foundation of all kinds. I also have used the Laura Geller powder foundation, and I like that one a lot too. But I always just go back to Bare Minerals. And I really love Bare Minerals. So I do have a Laura Geller powder foundation brush as well, which is really nice. And this one's different than the Beautiful Finish foundation brush from Bare Minerals. This one is really dense in the center and it has like looser. This brush is really nice for travel or on the go, touching up your foundation because you can seal it like this and throw it in your bag. Really nice. Where the Bare Minerals, you can't do that. But I think of the two brushes, I prefer this one. So I'm going to take my Beautiful Finish foundation brush, and then the next tip that I have for you, the fourth tip, is whatever powder you have here in the top, you can shake just a teeny bit of it into the lid and kind of scatter it around so you have it kind of scattered around the lid. It's all kind of going around the edges, but it's hard to show you without it moving. So that's the way I do it. And then I put the brush in, swirl it around, tap off any excess, and then I work in zones. So I'm going to do my forehead first, and I'm just going to buff. And it's not going to be like a setting powder again, where you just kind of make sure you get it on and that's it. That's not enough. What you really need to do is buff it in and let it warm up with your skin, because then it sort of emulsifies and gives you the finish of like a liquid foundation, even though it's a powder foundation. And that's the ticket. That's why it looks so natural on any skin type, all ages, very, very flattering on mature skin. And I spend a really long time buffing it in, as you can see. And the brush is large enough that I don't have to keep moving it around in small areas. It just kind of covers a surface area at a time. And now I still have quite a bit in the lid, even though I really swirled it around. So a little foundation goes a really long way. So one container of this will last you for years, actually. It never expires. And you can just continue to just use it, and you get so much bang for your buck. Okay, now I'm just gonna work down on one side of my face, and I'm gonna bring you in close so you could see my freckles without anything over them. And I'm just gonna pick up more. It's really important to pick up the least amount on your brush as you can, buff it in, and if you need more, then you can go in and just put a little bit more. But if you go in with too much, you're doomed. It's really hard to buff it in and reverse it so that it doesn't look cakey. It's really hard to recover from using too much. So this tip is really important. The thinnest amount possible. The brush really holds a lot of the foundation in the denser bristles in the middle. So it just sort of keeps pulling out more foundation. Even though you think you've buffed it all in, there's still quite a bit on the brush. Okay, so this entire side of my face is done. I did get this side of my forehead, but I haven't done anything from like my brow down. So you can see with one thin layer, no foundation versus foundation. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this other side of my face, just like I did this one, and I'll be back. Okay, I just did one layer, really buffing it in all around my face. And it isn't grasping onto any dry patches. I still have like a dry patch on my chin, and it isn't grasping onto that. I'll point it out to you right here. And underneath, I really peeled a lot. I had a blemish and it was healing. And then when I went in with the extra skincare, peeling my skin a lot, it really kind of inflamed that blemish, and it's a mess. It's just, that's what it is. It's trying to heal and it's dry, and a lot of liquid foundations will grasp onto that area. So I have to be very careful even with liquid foundations. But powder foundations are so good on drier skin types and flaking skin. And as long as you are really moisturizing your skin, don't let it get tacky. If it gets tacky or sticky from your sunblock or whatever primer, whatever you've put on your skin, it's not going to look good. It's just going to kind of grab onto any moisture. So you want your skin, like I said, to feel very, very much like skin. Bare Minerals does sell primers, and I've never used a primer. I am not a primer user. I just don't find them very helpful. If I do use a primer, especially as I'm getting older, I do use the Smashbox Photo Finish Smooth and Blur. This is a great primer if you have fine lines that you want to kind of fill in. It does have sort of like a dimethicone slip to it. For fine lines and wrinkles, you know, it kind of fills them in, but it does kind of have that really kind of soft, you know how dimethicone feels. Some people don't like those kinds of primers. I do like those kinds of primers. So this is the only primer I really use if I do use a primer. And I'm just not good about using primers. Okay, so this is not a Bare Minerals powder product, but it is the Bare Minerals Strength and Length Serum Infused Brow Gel. And I have had this for a while, and my goal was to use it every day and see if it does help fill in my brows, because it is infused with a serum to really condition your brows. I don't know if it's a serum like Grande Lash or Grande Brow, but I haven't used it long enough, so I am going to be giving this a good go. And I do really like the product. I have mine in the shade Chestnut, and it has this teeny tiny little brush, which is perfect for filling in brows, and the color is really, really nice. So I am just gonna fill in my brows, like so. Have any of you tried this and had good results? I'm afraid to, like, especially with my lashes, try products that have, like my Physicians Formula liquid eyeliner. It says it has a serum in it, but I'm afraid to only rely on that long enough to see if it works, because I use Grande Lash and I don't want my lashes to like start to fall out. So we'll see. I'm having my morning coffee while I'm making this video. So I'm having coffee with you guys. Do you ever lose your coffee cup when you're running around in the morning? Because in the morning I brew my coffee and then I run around and like start laundry or unload the dishwasher or wiping down counters from the night before, and I misplace my coffee. And sometimes I run upstairs to get dressed, or I'll leave it actually like in my closet. I'll set it on a shelf, and then 2 days later, I'll be like, oh, there's my coffee. Anyway, I don't think I did that as much when I was younger. I guess I just wasn't so busy. I think I properly sat down and had my morning coffee and didn't feel pressured to do a million chores while I'm having my morning coffee. You guys, I am so excited about this palette that I'm going to be using for you today. And it is one of the Bare Minerals palettes. And Bare Minerals had their Gen Nude palettes a while back, and they were like in a nice little plastic container. They were beautiful palettes, and I really liked those a lot. I also really liked everything from the Gen Nude range. Now they have these new palettes in the past couple of years called Mineralist, and they look like this. I have 2 of them here, and the 2 that I have I like so much. I did also purchase a very neutral one a while back that I wanted to share with you guys. But that one was a fail for me. And so I returned it. But I do want to get the one that has like more lavender shades and things like that, because these are really good for travel. And we do go away for the weekends and things like that in the summertime. These are great for that. And I have the Sunlit. And I did do a video on this palette before, and I'm going to link it down below in the description box. It's a beautiful palette. And if you want to see it in action, then check out that video. But they did release a palette recently. This is like a newer one to the range, and it's called Warmth. Now, if you are familiar with Bare Minerals, especially like in the 90s, they still have it, and it's a very popular product. It's an all-over face product called Warmth, and it's like a blush and bronzer in one, and it comes in a small container like this. And in the 90s, all my girlfriends used it. I tried, and I'm just way too fair for the Warmth all over face product, but I did purchase Glee or Gleam. I can't remember what it's called. One or the other, Glee or Gleam back then, and I loved it. And it's like a loose powder. Well, I'm getting to the palette. The Warmth is like a loose powder, and you buff it into your skin like the foundation. Even though it's a powder, it does also sort of emulsify and become one with your skin, so you don't look overly powdery. You just look like you're just glowing. And I liked Gleam for that, where people with a deeper skin tone than mine, like a medium or deeper skin tone, Warmth is beautiful for that. And they released a palette in the Mineralist range called Warmth, and it's to go with the whole Warmth range. And there's also the Gloss Bomb that are so popular from Bare Minerals. I love Bare Minerals glosses, and it's called Warmth, but they don't have that one in stock at Sephora or Ulta where I could sample it. I could only see it online, and I have so many glosses that I decided just not to pick it up. But if any of you are interested, it's called Warmth, and you can check it out online. It looks really beautiful. So this is what the palette looks like, and it looks like a book. It's got this nice elastic here. On the back, they tell you they're pledged to the climate. They're trying to move to all recyclable packaging. These palettes are recyclable, and they explain what to do. And then on the inside, it explains a little more about the palette, and it basically says that it is made for summer glow. I'm paraphrasing, and it's bronzy and golden shades to make you look just natural and sun-kissed. So it's only 6 shades. The pans are a good size, and you can create a lot of different looks, and many of these shades are beautiful for a one eyeshadow makeup look. I'm gonna show you some swatches on my arm, but I will also put on half the screen the swatches that they show on the Bare Minerals website on different skin tones, so that you can see how this palette will look on your skin tone if you aren't as fair as I am. So the first shade, I think it's called Coastline, and this one's gonna be hard for you to see on my arm because it is so light. It's like just one tone deeper than my skin tone. So that's what that looks like. It's a matte shade, and it is really creamy and blendable, and it looks really pretty. I'll just do it right now. When you take this, and I don't have any eyelid primer on, but you don't need it with this palette. I even have oily lids, and it doesn't crease or anything on me. It just looks really soft and pretty. So I didn't put down any eyelid primer today. So that's how that looks. Just a base is basically all it is. Just a good base for putting down the rest of the shades. And because it is so light, it really just kind of sets your primer if you're wearing it, or your concealer, and then you can maybe just add some eyeliner and your mascara and go. It does have a slight peachy tone to it, so it does look, when you see me in person, slightly like I'm wearing eyeshadow, but honestly, it's kind of like my bronzer does more than this. Okay, now we're gonna go in with Glowing, and Glowing is a shimmer, and as you can see, it's very, like the sunshine, coppery bronze. And the next one is also a shimmer, and it's called Fiery. And you could deepen up the outer corner with Fiery. Let me show you how that would look. I'll just put it like right here. If you were to use these two together, obviously you'd blend it more, but you can add some depth in the outside of your lid. Now, this next one is a favorite shade of mine, and it's Coconut. And if you watch me, you know that I like pretty natural makeup looks. But I really like this shade. The way it blends out is so pretty. It's like a plummy copper. See that? As I blend out that deep kind of plum shade, you can pick up some copper in it. And if you blend it out all over is a one eyeshadow makeup look from the lash roots all the way to the transition shade. So pretty on its own. Okay, the next shade is a matte also, and this is called Cove, and it's just like a red, an orangey red. And that's Cove. And then my next favorite, so I showed you Coconut is my favorite, and also Sun Coral I love as well. And this is what Sun Coral looks like. And it's a shimmer as well. So that's what that looks like. That's Sun Coral on this. It just looks like that look that your skin has right before it's about to be sunburned. And that's a really healthy look. I don't think a sunburn looks healthy, but that pinked up skin right before your skin burns is really pretty. But it's better to get it with makeup, obviously, than with sunshine because it's not good for us. So I'm just gonna show you a simple look using my favorite colors in this palette. And yeah, it's just such a pretty palette for one eyeshadow looks or a simple look. Okay, now I'm gonna pick up Sun Coral with a fluffy blending brush. And these aren't dusty, which is really nice. They're very easy to blend out. They don't have a lot of kick up or fallout. And I am really pleased. It does have a tiny bit of kick up. It's not non-existent. There is a little bit, but when you tap off your brush, it's not going to become like a mess on your face or anything like that. Like some palettes that are really dry and they leave a lot beneath your eye, it won't do that. I'm just going to run a little bit underneath my lower lash line, and this is a pretty fluffy brush to do this, but I haven't put on any concealer yet, so if I go a little too low with it, I'll clean that up with my concealer. I am gonna go in with Coconut, the matte shade here, and I have a more densely packed brush. It's not as fluffy and small as the one I was using. And I'm taking this shade and I'm just gonna put it in the very outer corner, almost on the outside of my eye, like to the tail of my brow here, like I usually do when I do my 3 eyeshadow makeup looks that I do so often. And I'm just gonna swirl this a little bit into the crease and around in the outer corner. Okay, so now I have my eyes done with those 3 shades, and I'm going to put on some L'Oreal Infallible Waterproof Liner for my upper waterline. And then I'm gonna put on a couple of coats of the Caloray Tubing Mascara. This is such a good mascara. I kind of got away from my tubing mascaras in the spring because I really like these for, like, I use these as like a waterproof mascara because they only come off with soap and water, warm soap and water, and I really like it. It washes off so completely and I don't have to use a separate makeup remover, which is really nice. Okay, so the next thing I'm gonna do is go in with an all over face color like Warmth that I talked about, but this is called Hint, and it's described as a dark pink, and it is a loose formula. like so. And I'm gonna put this on one side of my face, and then I'm gonna show you how it compares to something that Bare Minerals released a couple of years ago, and this is one of my absolutely favorite products, and it's their bronzers. And I have 3 of the colors right here, but I have 3 of the colors, and there are 2 other colors that they just released this year. One is really bronzy, and I can't think of what it's called, but the 5th one is called Kiss of Mauve, and it's more mauve-y. So this one is Kiss of Rose, and that's what that looks like. And when you blend it out, it blends out like the loose powder pigments, all over face pigments, and it's just a little bit neater because it's an a pressed formula. So I love these for that. And then I have Kiss of Copper here, and that looks like this. It's more orangey or coppery, bronzy, I suppose, than Kiss of Rose. I did blend that out, but I need you to see how they look blended out, because you're never just going to put them on your face like in one streak. You're going to buff it in and blend it out. So Kiss of Rose is definitely more pinky, and then Kiss of Copper doesn't have any pink in it at all, but it's still really flattering on light skin tones like mine. And then the last one, which is probably my favorite, is Kiss of Pink. And I like this one because I can use it as a blush while I use other bronzers too. And that's what that looks like. And it definitely has more pink in it than the rosy one and the copper one, which makes sense, Kiss of Pink. So I'm gonna show you how I use the loose blush pigments as like an all over face color, like warmth. And what I love about this is that it does impart that really almost sunburned look that I think is really flattering. So I'm not gonna do it like I do the foundation with a really dense brush. Rather, I'm using kind of a fluffy one. And this is from Luxie. And I want to apply the least amount possible, like I did with the foundation, because I don't want it to be too powdery or cakey. You can definitely still blend it out, but it looks most natural when it's applied in a really thin layer, and then you go in with more to build it up, as opposed to getting too much on and then having to blend, blend, blend. And I just kind of buff it in on the high points of my face, like where the sun would naturally hit. I go down the center of my nose, like where the sun would make my nose a little pink. Definitely like the top of my forehead here. And there are more shades of this than the warmth and hint. There are other shades. So I can build this up as much as I want to make me look as sun-kissed as I can. But that's like the gist of it. So you can kind of see on this side of my face and my nose, I'm looking definitely sun-kissed. I hope you can see that. And now I'm gonna go in with the hint of rose bronzer, because I think it matches the dark pink and hint, and I can always add more of this onto the other side to make it match. So this is the Kiss of Rose, and I'm just applying that using the same brush. And I don't press, I just use like really soft strokes, and you can see I have way too much on my forehead, but that's okay, you'll see. You'll see how it blends out. I'm just gonna kind of drag that now over to the other side. So you can blend it in and get a really natural look. If you don't want to use eyeshadow, because I know a lot of you don't use eyeshadow, you could use this with the Bare Minerals powder and then just take your brush and brush a little bit onto your eyelids, because the sun does also kind of kiss our skin there. So you can forego eyeshadow, apply a little of this or like your bronzer onto your lids, and just look like you have a no makeup look, but you look really healthy and glowy. Okay, now the last thing I'm gonna do is take the Kiss of Pink bronzer, and it's considerably lighter than the rose. And the only thing I'm gonna do with this is pick it up on a clean brush, and I'm just gonna apply it to the very apples of my cheeks, just to make sure they're nice and pink too, and a little bit lighter than what I put around the perimeter of my face. So this is the loose powder side, the loose powder blush, and this is the bronzer. I personally won't purchase the loose pigment blush anymore now that I can pick up the bronzers, because I like the compact pressed formula. I find that it's really, really pigmented, and it's just neater and easier to use and to travel with. Okay, so I took my hair down and I put on a tinted lip balm. I'll link below what I have on, but I just really wanted to focus on the powder products today. And I'm gonna bring you in close so you can see how this look came together. I'm always just really drawn to Bare Minerals, probably more so than Laura Geller, just because it's easier to access. I can go into Sephora or Ulta, anywhere it's sold, and try the products on. And Laura Geller, I mostly have to order them online, but I've been very pleased with the Laura Geller products I've tried as well. It's another really popular brand for powder products for mature skin. Bare Minerals isn't made, or I don't think Laura Geller, for that matter, are made only for mature skin, but I do find them to be very, very flattering. And the older I get, it seems like the more I enjoy the products. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know if you have any thoughts or comments or anything that you'd like to share. And I hope you have a blessed and beautiful day. I'll see you next time.